Today I wanted to talk to you about our rhododendron breeding programme, which we've been undertaking both at Caerhays and at Burncoose. It's a very long, drawn-out programme because growing rhododendrons from seed takes a great deal of time. But what we're trying to do is to reintroduce into our catalogue a great many of the species and hybrid rhododendrons that grow in Cornish gardens and have not been available from sale from any other UK nursery, particularly since Glendoick nurseries have stopped selling rhododendrons by mail order. So there's a gap in the market for Burncoose. There are lots and lots of lovely rhododendron species and Cornish hybrids which deserve to be grown and deserve to be sold, but it takes time. And here, although it's absolutely tiny, here is a little batch of rhododendron seedlings. Rhododendron seed is so tiny that it's like chaff, and we grow them in small containers with moss on the top, so that the seedlings germinate in what would be a natural environment underneath a rhododendron bush, where there would be dampness and moss. And these seedlings were put in the ground in about 3 months ago, and they're germinating well. But as you can see, they're absolutely tiny. And between now and the autumn, very gently with a tiny little pick, Asher will be taking those seedlings out and putting them into the next stage of the whole procedure, which is to wean them into little cells. And here we've got a tray with 4 different species of seedlings from last year's production. So even a year on, they're still only the most tiny little rhododendrons. And later in the summer, these will be big enough to pot into the next stage of plugs. And here's another little batch which have 1 year seedlings just being potted on into their next stage. They're not necessarily terribly even because seedlings don't grow necessarily absolutely uniformly. All the seedlings are slightly different. But it's a labour of love to grow them to this sort of size, and different varieties grow a bit more quickly than other varieties, and seed growing is fraught with difficulties. There are so many things that can go wrong. You let the sun scorch them for an hour or two and they've gone brown. In the winter, if they get botrytis or fungal mold because your air circulation is poor, they'll die. And many of the seedlings die anyway just because you've looked at them nastily, because that's the way nature is. But if we then move on to 2-year seedlings, and here we see something really tremendous. The very rare Rhododendron consinum, growing beautifully from seedlings and now ready to go down to the nursery and be potted on. Rhododendron prostitum, var giganteum. Beautiful, beautiful seedlings. You can see that they're true to name. The extraordinarily rare Rhododendron hyperanthum. And look at what a wonderful crop of seedlings we've got there in plug liners. Again, all ready to go to the nursery and being potted on. Rhododendron aureodoxa var fargesii, all from seed. I mean, this is tremendous. This is a great leap forward for Burncoose, but the public and our catalogue are not going to have these plants in them quite yet. It won't be very long. It'll probably just be another year. I mean, some of the arboreums which we've now just potted on, they almost look like plants already. They're not quite big enough to get into a 1.5 litre pot and put them up for sale, but they're coming on that way, and it's absolutely fantastic to see this development, which will make such a difference to the rhododendron offering which Burncoose will make in the years to come.